Hello. Today, my group and I would like to present our software development project for FST10014 Programming. The team consists of myself, Chong, Bennett, and Ethan, who have worked with me on this project. We will be going through our program, Bus Reservation System, which was prepared for Bus Asia. Now, I will let my teammate Bennett take over to talk about the project scope and its objectives.
Hi, I'll be explaining on the objectives and scope of our system. On the scope of our reservation system, it involves a series of steps for users making online reservations. Initially, users are prompted to input essential booking details as seen from our main module over here, such as departure date, departure and arrival locations, terminal selection, bus number selection, and time departure selection. Our reservation system module acts as a database for some of the elements mentioned just now, such as departure and arrival locations, terminals, bus numbers based on terminals selected, and also departure times. Subsequently, users choose from first, business or economy class and select a specific seat within their chosen class, as you can see from the code over here. Our seat selection module also acts as a database for the bus class selection and also our seat selection. Following seat selection, which moves us to our passenger details module, users are required to provide personal information, including their name, passenger type, passport or IC number, gender, nationality, contact number, and email address, as you can see over here. A checkbox is also provided for users to agree to the terms and conditions over here. Afterwards, users are presented with three payment methods, which is over here, which is credit or debit card, online banking, or even e-wallet. The process concludes when users click on the Pay Now button, thus terminating the program. The strengths of the system include the convenience of again freeing customers from physical queues, the accessibility of tickets for purchase anytime and anywhere with an internet connection, instant confirmation of bookings through digital and physical tickets, and the ability to check bus locations and times with an internet connection. However, the system also has some limitations. Customers without electronic devices cannot access the website or make online payments. Additionally, those without internet access are unable to purchase tickets online. But there is also a vulnerability to scams or fake websites online. Overall, the objective of our website is to help our customers save time through using an online platform instead of standing in queues for the traditional physical counters that take much more time than needed just to book tickets. This objective, however, corresponds to a number of benefits such as the availability of tickets online anytime and anywhere, as long as they are connected to the internet, and also being accessible for users with disabilities to purchase tickets online, thus easing the reach of services for the customers of Bus Asia. Now I'll pass on over to Chong Boy who he will explain the program.
Before you actually run the program, please make sure that you have Python Imaging Library, or PIL for short, installed on your Python IDLE or your system in general. Without it, loading this busasia.jpg will not actually work and the program will just bug out. So please, before you run the program, please make sure that you have that installed on your system. The links to the tutorial videos showing you in detail on how to install PIL on your Windows or your Mac system will be linked in the description below. So please make sure you go watch those, install PIL, and come back to this video. Now without further ado, let's just run this program and show you what this program can actually do. So after you've installed PIL on your system or your Python IDLE, this is what it should look like. A white window with the Bus Asia logo and a big red Book Your Trip Now button. Just click on that to get started. So we have all these fields here, and if I don't fill out any of them and just click on submit, it will actually pop up an error message saying, please enter a date in the format of year, month, date separated by hyphens. So let's do that. 2024, February the 14th. I want to depart on this date, and I want to depart from Kuching. And if I don't select a destination and click on submit, it will tell me to select a destination. So let's just do that. I want to go from Kuching to Samarahan. Then that information will actually move to the next page saying traveling from Kuching to Samarahan. Now it will tell me to select a terminal in my departure location, terminal M and or O. By the way, if you select a different departure location, like Miri, for example, it will actually come up with different terminals. So terminal N, let's select terminal N, a bus in terminal N. If I don't fill that out, it will actually pop on another error message saying please select a bus before proceeding. So let's select the bus N1102. and a time of departure. So we got 5 times here: 10 a.m., 12 p.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m., and 6 p.m. So I want to depart at 6 p.m. in the evening, and now we book our seat. So on every bus, we have 3 classes: first class, business class, and economy class. And you can only select one of these 3 classes. So let me show you here. Let's say I want to book an economy class seat. It will pop up a new window highlighting which seats are economy class and which seats are not economy class. And if I select on 44 here, which is supposed to be in business class, it will pop up an error message saying cannot reserve a seat from a different class. All right. And don't worry, that window is not destroyed, it is in the background. So just alt tab back to it or just select it again. And if I select on 1-2, which is a seat from the first class, it will pop up the same error message. So now let's select the seat. Let's say I want to select 9-2, and it will pop up a message saying I reserved seat 9-2 and my price is 15 ringgit. By the way, the prices for business class is 30 ringgit and the price for first class is 50 ringgit. So it'll actually come up different values in this message box. Okay. Now, if I try to click on these other buttons, these other classes, I can't actually do that because they are all disabled. And the only button on this screen that I can click on is next. Now I have all these fields that I have to fill out for my passenger details. First off, my name, Chong Yu Cheng, right? And my passenger type, you can select child, adult, or senior. I'm an adult, aged 18 to 55. And my passport or IC number, let's just put a sample here. My gender, male. My nationality, Malaysian. And my contact number, let's put an example here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And my email address, let's also put a sample here. So if I don't accept the terms and conditions and I proceed to payment, it will actually tell me to accept the terms and conditions. If I don't fill out all of these forms, all of these entry boxes, and select the value from these drop-down boxes, I can actually move to the next page and it will pop up an error message saying that I should do that entry box or combo box first. We have code that validates whether or not you have inputted any information to that drop-down box or that entry box. So let's accept the terms and conditions here, and then we'll move to the next screen where I can select my payment method. We got credit, debit cards, online banking, or e-wallet. Let's say I want to pay by credit, debit card. Of course, this is just an assignment. We can't actually input your credit or your debit card information into this program. And now we click on Pay Now, big red Pay Now button. It will pop up, your payment was successful, enjoy your trip. Click on OK, it will actually destroy the system. And that's it for how the program will actually appear. So what's next is actually my groupmate Ethan, who will tell you all about what's going on in the background and how this code makes this program work.
First, from our main module code from Tinker message box, which are imported from the buttons and drop-down menus for having tools and widgets in our GUI codes later on. PIL, which stands for Python Imaging Library, enables Python to deal with images and helps with opening different image file formats for our Bus AirAsia logo. Datetime imported as formats for datetime will be supported in Python. So for these main modules, the codes are only for the GUI codes. First, a class called Bus Reservation GUI is created. This init method initializes the GUI by setting the root attribute, setting the title of the window to Bus AirAsia Reservation Service, creating an instance of the Bus Reservation System class. Next, the GUI code is for displaying the Bus AirAsia logo at the start of the page. The Bus AirAsia image is loaded in the same file directory as the modules, making it easily accessible for the module without having to download the same image from the internet and providing the file path. Next is for the Book a Trip Now button GUI code. We have designed the button with a font called Arial. The button is packed into the root window with a padding of 12 pixels. This padding code defines the space between the content and the border. Moving on to the second page on the GUI screen, as we have commented in our module, the book button is removed from this pack forget code. And as you can also see, in this module, there are quite a few of these cells code inside our module. It represents the instance of this Bus Reservation GUI class. Now, let's create the GUI codes for the reservation form. The tk.label is used to display the date of departure on the GUI screen with specific font. The entry code is used to accept the user's input for the date of departure, while for ttk.combobox is used to have drop-down menu for the user to select available departure and location. The button widget is used to create a submit button that triggers the next function. where the process reservation form function validates the date entered when the button is clicked. In reservation system module, the class of reservation system is created. The departure location, departure date, and selected arrival location attributes are first initialized as empty strings or none. This location for arrival and departure have been listed as dictionaries in our bus reservation module. The list function is then used to convert the keys of the departure places dictionary into a list. The self-departure places keys method retrieves all the keys from the departure places dictionary. The return statement then returns the list of the available departure places. Now, you may wonder, what if I enter an invalid input or leave the input as blank or empty? So in the main module, we have also validated that the departure and arrival locations cannot be the same or be left empty under the validate location function. So after user proceeds on clicking the button, it is time for the user to select the time of departure. The get departure times method retrieves a list of available departure times and store them in a text file named departure times.txt. The with open departure times.txt with a quotation marks a W inside. The file statement opens a file named departure times.txt in write mode. The with statement ensures that the file is properly closed after the operations are performed. After time of departure is selected, user will click on the book your seat now button, where a new page will appear with 3 different classes of 3 different colors shown, where it is coded under show class selection form function. This set of codes are in seat selection module. The show seats function displays the seats on the GUI. It uses nested loops to create buttons for each seat and assigns a color based on the selected class. The get seat color function determines the color of the seat based on its row and column number and the selected class. The reserve seat functions handles the seat reservation process. It checks if the seat belongs to the selected class and if it is already reserved. If the seat is available, it marks it as reserved and displays a message with the seat number and price. The calculate seat price function calculates the price of a seat based on the selected class. The get selected seats function returns the seat number that have been reserved. Now, let's go back into the main module for the GUI codes. Under show class selection form function, the selected bus appears in your GUI screen. The class selection buttons code created 3 buttons for selecting the class: first class, business class, and economy class. Each button is created using the TK button class and has a specific command. The command is a lambda function that calls the button click handler method with the corresponding seat class as an argument. After selecting a seat class, the user can proceed to the next step by clicking the next button. The command is set to the passenger detail form function, which is responsible for displaying the form for entering passenger details. Our code includes a variable called class button press to track whether a class button has been pressed. This variable is initially set to false and can be used to perform additional actions based on the user's selection. This button click handler function is executed when a button is clicked. It is used to perform specific actions or tasks based on the button click event. This class button press variable is a Boolean variable that keeps track of whether a class button is already pressed or not. For messagebox.showError function, it displays an error message box with a specific error message. And lastly, on the selection of seats, after user clicks on the preferred class, it triggers the show seat selection function. This will create a new window titled seat selection with a fixed size of 525 times 175 pixels. The seat selection class will be instantiated with the self seat selection window and selected class as the parameters that the user has selected.
Now, for the final module, here is the code for the passenger details, which is called by this command over here in the main module after clicking on the next button in the class selection screen. By using this method, the code can easily call upon the code in the passenger details module as shown over here. In this part of the code, it creates various widgets on the window, giving the user options to input their personal details. After inputting the necessary details, this proceeds to run the payment button, which is programmed by this code over here, which I will explain about it later. The purpose of this code over here is to validate the user's input for the entry boxes for passport number and contact number. This is so that the program can set a limit on how short or how long the user's input for the mentioned fields can be. The methods that describe this function can be seen over here and also over here. Next, let's talk about the proceed to payment function as seen over here. All of this code is basically to handle invalid user inputs on the passenger details page. If the user actually enters an invalid input, a message box will pop up and tell the user about the error, like so. One thing in this code is that for the email address entry box, It will only accept the listed domains like Gmail, Hotmail, or both students.swinburne.edu.my or just swinburne.edu.my as I will show now. This code over here removes the passenger details form to make space for the next part, which creates the widgets for selecting a payment method. The last part is basically just creating a drop-down menu and a Pay Now button, which terminates the program. Like before, if the user does not select a payment option in the drop-down menu, an error message should pop up telling the user to do so, like so. The final lines of the code over here is just to make a success message pop up and terminate the system, like so, when selecting one of the payment methods and clicking on the Pay Now button. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching.